Hey guys, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming, and some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with another Let's Play episode of Echo, and today we're starting off on Carl's path. If I can find that save. Where is it? Where is it? Let's see. Yeah, I think it was about right here. Yep. Alright guys, let's jump right in. And let me entertain you for the next 20 minutes. Let's go. Alarm chain, you are up. Okay, let's see. Okay. Who am I gonna follow? I think we all know who I'm gonna follow. Yeah. Yeah. Skip. Okay, here we go. And this is where it begins. Shit with Carl. Okay? I'm tired and I feel awful. I just don't have it in me to chase everyone down right now. Flynn's back off to Echo, and it looks like Leo went after TJ, but I can't imagine the Lynx wants all of us crowding around him right now. I sigh, rubbing my face before I sit down in the lawn chair next to Carl. He looks over at me, slowly lowering what's definitely a joint from his mouth. What? I don't mind. I make a go-on gesture with my paw. Carl shakes his head, though, pushing the disheveled tube back into his front pocket. Nah, I always kind of feel like a dick when the other guy isn't into it. Want to leave? Want me to leave? He shakes his head with a quick flick of his horns. Ah, man, I just do it when there's nothing else to do. Ah. There's a moment of silence, and I feel a little pressure to break it since I'm the one who interrupted his bake session. I actually tried it a few years ago. Carl looks surprised. Oh, really? How was it? I shrug. Pretty bad. It was in a muffin, I think. Carl makes a face at that. Edibles. Yeah, well, I ended up eating one. Didn't feel anything for a while. Next thing I know, I'm down on the floor and everyone's freaking out. Shit, that sucks. It was kind of funny, but I don't think I'll ever try it again. Carl pulls the joint back out of his pocket and holds it up. That's why you should use one of these. It's easier on the brain. Yeah, well, I guess I just don't like the idea of putting smoke in my lungs. Carl puts the joint back in his pocket. I get that. Again, there's a few seconds of silence, and I try to think of something to say, but Carl beats me to it. Crazy shit, huh? I assume he's talking about what just happened. Yeah, crazy. But you know how he is. He's regretting everything right now. Well, I guess I'd rather he just wouldn't say it in the first place. Wait, what he said to TJ, man? He picks on him a lot, but that was crossing the line. Carl scratches behind one of his horns, then rubs his nose. Well, yeah, I guess I never understood that either. Making fun of TJ is like making fun of a cloud. But Flynn doesn't mean it, usually. He likes TJ. I've noticed during the trip that Carl's been pretty defensive of Flynn, even though he's the butt of most of the Lizard's jokes. I'd seen Flynn trip Carl up and put him in several headlocks since I got here. You'd think getting older would change that, but I swear they roughhouse even more than they did before. So, you and him still seem pretty close. You guys hang out a lot? Yeah, a bit. Mostly because there isn't much else to do. He's got a friend in Peyton that he hangs out with sometimes. So, what do you guys do? I know Flynn isn't into video games at all, and Carl probably doesn't care to go clubbing with every other night. He shrugs. Sometimes we go fishing. We just drive around Peyton. Mostly I'm just hanging out at home, though. Playing video games? Playing video games, watching movies, cybering with a chatbot, the usual. I grin. That's sad. I would have cybered with you if I'd known you didn't have anyone. I don't know, man. That thing compiles all the fetishes of the people it's talked to. It's gotten my sexuality all kinds of fucked up. Oh, yeah? Yeah, seems like no matter what I say to her, she's tied up in some warehouse blindfolded with a few missing limbs. You underestimate my abilities. Helping a gender swap that comes out of nowhere halfway through. Well, while you're not sexting up a robot, you do anything else? He chuckles. I can't actually get aroused myself. I get aroused myself anymore. Okay. I can't exactly get around myself anymore. So I guess your parents decided against getting you a new car? Yeah. Oh, look at this. He leans over and pulls out his phone. I can't help but notice it's a top model brand, probably around $700. Yeah, my phone is actually worth about double that. I use it for photography, shut up. But he's not showing me the phone. Instead, he presses at the screen a few times and swipes through some pictures. I swear I see an image of Flynn with his pants down, mooning the camera. Carl swipes it over pretty quickly, though now I'm looking at the image of a brand new sedan, except the front is neatly folded up around the pole of a stop sign. Carl, you gotta not do that, man. I recognized the sign. I'd actually seen it right outside the convenience store, still bent at a ridiculous angle. I guess the town didn't care enough to get it fixed. The pole itself was almost embedded in the middle of the hood. Holy shit! Carl chuckles and pinches the screen, zooming in. Yeah, dropped my phone, and when I came back up, this freaking pole was right in front of me. Really, Carl? Why were you on your phone? I don't know. When I get to town, I don't really think anyone's going to be on the road. I sigh, then notice a big round spot on the right side of the windshield, spiderwebbed and smashed white. Whoa, is that? Yep. Carl knocks on his head for effect. The hollow sound that emits seeming rather appropriate. You rely on that too much, and you really need to start wearing your seatbelt. He shrugs and puts the phone back in his pocket before leaning back in the chair and closing his eyes. God, Carl, you're being stupid, man. What's the point? To not die? Happens to everyone sooner or later. Why not get out early if you can? He keeps his voice light under the heavy statement. Jesus Christ, man. Carl. I have no idea what to say to that, so I don't, but he breaks the silence again soon enough. So how's PU? You get to see Chelsea again? You see Chelsea at all? Sometimes I forget Carl went to Pueblo with me. It was only one semester, but we had a lot of fun. It's alright. I haven't seen Chelsea at all, though. It's a big school. Anyway, what's that project thing you're doing? Just a news packet about Echo, really. Kind of about how it's fallen apart. Huh. I've told him this already, but Carl never remembers much. Might center around the whole body and the mind thing that happened way back. Carl opens his eyes and looks at me. So, do you need, history stuff, like books and records and stuff? Yeah, if it relates. Carl sits up straighter and grins. Well, why didn't you say so? We've got a ton of stuff in the crawl space from way back when. Yeah? Well, what kind of stuff? Carl sets a hoof against one of the rocks circling the fire pit and starts rocking his chair back. Well, whatever my family kept over the years. That one guy, Carl snaps his fingers a few times. You know, the guy who founded this place, James? Yeah, sure, he's like my great-great-great-grandfather or something. I think we still have some of that stuff from back in the day. My parents were thinking about setting up an Echo Museum thing, but they never did. This might actually be useful to me. All I had planned was to maybe look over some old newspapers or town records and be done with it. Actually seeing some old stuff up close could be pretty cool. That might be a good idea, actually. Carl grins. Awesome. I always kind of wanted to look through that stuff, but the crawl space is damn creepy. You free tonight? For the first time, Carl actually looks really excited. Oh, wait, never mind. Flynn is taking me to a dentist appointment early in the morning. How about around 11 tomorrow? I smile. That sounds like a plan. Sweet! Whoa! Oh. What the Oh, that was weird. Oh, guys, that was some weird timing. Holy shit. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard that. Wow. That was so bizarre. Holy shit. My Astartes, my Space Marine figurine, fell over, like, right as Carl fell over. Like, right after his sound effect played, it fell over. What the fuck? Oh my god, that is really weird. Okay. Okay, I got my Astartes figures coming to life. Please, don't kill me in the name of the Emperor, please. Okay, we're gonna get back into it. Carl gives an excited kick off the rock, and as the chair is tipping back, the back legs practically snap under his weight. He sent slamming down on his rear, and the chair crumpled. He sent slamming down on his rear, the chair a crumpled up mess under his ass. Let's laugh at Carl. I laugh, and of course I feel bad, but Carl just gets up with a sheepish smile, looking down at the broken pile. Well, it was gonna be pissed. Ooh. Oh shit, this place again. I'm driving down the road alongside the lake. Carl's sitting next to me. He's in the chair that he broke. I keep telling him to wear a seatbelt, but he won't. I turn down a road I don't remember. It goes straight down towards the lake. For some reason, I can't stop. I brace myself for the impact, but I hardly feel anything. We just glide into the lake. I start trying to take off the seatbelt, but it's stuck. I look over at Carl, and he smiles before opening his door. Water rushes in, and he starts to step out. Soon the water is over my head, and it doesn't matter that I'm an otter. Ooh, shit, that's creepy. Ooh, what are we foretelling here? Tuesday. Huh. The broken tree branch. It turns out it was a good idea to hang out with Carl today. After texting back and forth with Leo, I learned that he's actually planning a birthday party for the Ram. It's a little weird since Carl's birthday isn't for another month, but I guess it's just an excuse to have a party. Leo tells me to keep Carl distracted for the day while they go shopping for decorations and gifts. He also tells me he'll get my gift for Carl, which is fine with me. TJ's pretty bummed though, considering it throws off his hiking plans, but Jenna promises him they'll at least hike half the trail. I want to talk to him, but he's acting pretty cold towards me, probably because I'm bailing on my promises to go with him. Aww. I drive to Carl's house because it's pretty far separated from the rest of Echo, up against the foothills of the Casa Demonio mountain range. It'd probably take me 15 minutes to get up there, and there's no way in hell I'm doing that in this heat uphill when I've got a car. The main reason it's separated like this is because Carl's house is a mansion. Carl's family is loaded, a legacy that's followed them ever since Carl's great-whatever struck it rich with over 100 years ago. James Hendricks eventually went on to start an ice cream business, which at this point has spread out over most of the western half of the country. Carl's mom is the CEO, I think. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I should probably get some shots of the mansion considering its role in the town's history. Most of the old mansion has been demolished at this point, but I think parts of it are still from the original structure. Probably best to ask first, though. I walk up to the front door and ring the bell, listening to the fancy chime inside. I wait for about a minute, starting to wonder if Carl is asleep or just high off his ass, when I hear some voices from behind the house. I'm definitely recognizing the crackly timbre of Carl's voice, along with the high tenor of Flynn's. I head around the house, stepping carefully through the desert landscaping and walking into the backyard. "'Cause you want to make out with him?" "No, because you like to make things weird. I just wanted to be relaxed." That's when Carl notices me as I round the corner, clutching my camera bag to my side. He's leaning over a bush with a giant set of clippers while Flynn lounges up against the wall, watching him. "Whoa, Chase!" Carl's ears perk and he grins. "Sorry, Flynn." Carl rolls his big head at the lizard. "Was supposed to be watching for you." Flynn doesn't look at me right away, instead choosing to pull the toothpick he's chewing on out of his muzzle to look at it. He's still embarrassed about yesterday. Good. "That's alright. It wasn't hard to hear you guys from the front." "Yeah, just done some yard work. Obviously." He rubs behind his head. "Promised my parents I'd get this done before they get back." Get back. Got back. I don't know what that was. Carl starts snipping at the bush again. He's unusually sharp right now. I'm guessing because he hasn't had anything to smoke. Either way, it's jarring to see him so animated. "Well, looks like you're doing a good job." "Oh, he's only moving this fast because he wants to hang out with you, Chase." Even though the sentence is technically being said to me, I feel like Flynn's directing it at Carl. Carl furrows his brow. "Chase, you can go inside if you want. The back is open." Interesting. I think it's a good idea because it's clear now that I've walked in on an argument. "You should have seen him a few minutes ago. It was like he had a girlfriend coming over." Carl sighs loudly and his snips start to get a bit more violent. "No, I'm just glad to have some company that isn't only you, Flynn." Flynn looks annoyed, and that annoys me. He really didn't have the right to be frustrated with anyone after yesterday. "Really? Always seemed to be enough for you in the past." Flynn makes a kissy face. I have no idea if this is one of their inside jokes or not. Carl stops snipping for a second, then starts up again more slowly. "Well, you know, lizards can be fun, but they don't have all the parts that I like, if you know what I mean." Carl smirks sideways at Flynn. Flynn sneers back, and though I've decided that they're still joking, there's definitely a growing tension between them. "What you saying there, Carl?" Carl stops snipping and plants the point of the clippers on the ground, leaning on it as he turns to face Flynn. "What I'm saying is, if you got no Before Carl can finish the sentence, Flynn turns to the right, away from him. This also brings his fat tail around to slam into Carl's crotch with a whap that makes me cringe. "Ow!" Carl jumps and squeaks before toppling to the ground. "Oh man, my nuts!" "Yeah, definitely wish I had those, all dangling and vulnerable and shit. Anyway, I'll leave you two sluts alone." Flynn sticks the toothpick back into his muzzle, and I have to consciously try not to cover my crotch while he walks by me. He hasn't looked at me this whole time. Once Flynn's gone, I sidle up to Carl, who's still curled up on the ground, holding himself while he mutters under his breath. You alright?" "Fuck, no!" There's not really anything I can do, so I rub his shoulder with a toe comfortingly, and he freezes up as I do, looking at my foot. I'm alright, though." He gets himself into a sitting position before he gets up awkwardly, standing bow-legged. I forgot how much Flynn likes to hit people in the nuts. "He'll get him back. It still hurts him if you hit hard enough." As he stands there, doubled over with his paws on his knees, I look around. Carl's house has actual grass in the back, which is rare in Echo. Most people either xeriscape or just let the sagebrush take over. Another rarity are the two tall trees on either side of the yard. That's when I notice how empty one of them looks. Hey, where'd the treehouse go? Carl follows my gaze. Oh yeah, my dad took it down a few years ago. It was falling apart. His dad also built the treehouse. I can remember hanging out up there, playing on our portable game consoles with a fan at full blast. Even then, it was still almost too hot to hang out up there. I walk up to the base of the tree and put my hand against the trunk, grinning. Man, I remember all the shit we did up there. Carl shuffles up next to me, still bow-legged, and grins, too. Yeah, good times. I think about climbing it, but I notice that the branch that we used to use as a foothold has been cut off. Your dad ruined this thing. Carl scrapes at the spot where the branch used to be with a hoof. Yeah, I guess it made the mowing harder. We didn't use it anymore, so he just cut it off. I can see Carl's looking for a way up, too, and soon enough his eyes settle on a branch just above his head. I don't know if... Carl's already jumping to grab onto the branch with both paws. It doesn't look very sturdy. Dude, that's gonna break. So, I'm fucking fat. I'll bounce. Oh, that's a good piece of art. I'm about to tell him again that the branch is definitely going to break when I notice his shirt riding up all the way over his round belly. It's not like he's a bag. He's not like he's a bag of lard, though. It's a controlled type of gut, held tight with the muscles underneath pulling in as it flexes. He notices me staring right away and kicks out at me playfully. Pervert! First my moves and now this! I jump back as he tries to follow me with a bigger swing of his legs, and that's when the branch snaps loudly. Carl goes down once again, landing squarely on his back. Oop! Oof! I cover my face instinctively, but I still hear the hollow thud, followed by the whoosh of breath going out of his lungs. Slowly I lower my paws and find the chubby ram rolling back and forth on the ground, eyes wide as his mouth hangs open. Ooh, that was some good art, though. A distant memory comes to mind of a time when we were both 10 and Carl was showing me a trick with his new bike ramp. The handlebars ended up in his gut when he landed, and he spent the following minute rolling around on the ground just like this. Good times. Shit! I suck in air through my teeth and kneel next to him again, patting him uselessly. After a few seconds of hesitation, I reach over and grab the front of the waistband of his shorts and pull up on it. Even though he's completely deflated, he looks at me with a bizarre expression and swats at my paw, giving a few breathless snorts as he tries to laugh. Hey, it's supposed to help you breathe. I've seen the coaches do it at school. I'm realizing that Carl's way too heavy to arch up like that, so I give up and end up just petting his stomach, wishing I could help somehow. Just stretch out. His breath is already coming back, but he follows my instruction anyway, and we sit there for a while, the silence punctuated by his heavy breathing. I start laughing. Jesus Christ, Carl, can you go one day without hurting yourself? He chuckles too, his belly shaking under my paw. Now you know why I don't go outside. Ugh! He thumps back for a while, taking in deep breaths before lifting his head again. He looks down his chest at my paw and grins. It seems like you can't keep your paws off me, though. I move my paw, letting him pull his shirt down as he grunts and sits up. How about I just let you suffocate next time? I almost did. Laughing while I couldn't breathe. I thought you were trying to grab my dick. I put my paws on my hips. Is it because I'm gay? That might just be it. Carl grabs the branch that had broken off the tree and quirks up the corner of his mouth. Ugh, that's not going to be happy about that. I mean, it'll grow back. It's a branch. Who cares? It's just a branch. You know my dad. He gets up and tosses the branch over the fence into the desert, then turns back to me. So now that it feels like the Lucia fucking Lobo just gave me the Quebradora? Just gave me the Quebradora con Giro. I think I'm done for the day. You want to work on your project now? I'd honestly rather just hang out here with Carl, but the sun's enough to put a damper on that. Carl's house is like a labyrinth. I think he once told me that it has over 30 rooms, which is fucking insane. The living room is about 5 times larger than the one in my parents' house, and it's hard to miss what looks like a 100-inch flat screen against the wall. According to Carl, the first mansion was even bigger, though. After getting a drink, he leads me straight downstairs into the basement. Down the hallway, we pass a small home theater, what looks like an entertainment room with a bar and then a small gym. The quick glance I get shows at least 10 fitness contraptions. After that, things get a little more dingy, and I don't know. And I can see how portions of the foundation could be decades old. The dinghy is a fucking small boat. Dingy is like dusty and dirty and stuff like that. Finally, at the end of the hall, Carl opens the door, and I can see from the ceiling that it's right under the stairs we came down. Carl waves his paw around and finally grasps something before pulling down. An old light bulb comes on, and I see there's a little door with a small latch on it. He opens it, and I'm greeted with a musty smell as Carl slides through the opening. I follow tentatively, making sure I'm not walking into any cobwebs. Are there a lot of spiders down here? I don't think so. We sprayed a few weeks ago. It's extremely dark, and I can hear Carl grunting next to me. Oh, there's a floodlight here somewhere. Ah, here it is! Like everything in this house, it's big for a crawl space. Pillars sprout from the ground in 2 rows that stretch back almost into darkness. The ground is covered in a tarp, and I see dozens of plastic bins lining the walls. This is a lot of shit. Yep, it's a few generations worth of shit. I walk over the tarp to look into one of the bins, but all I can see is clumps of cloth and towel through the cloudy plastic. Carl walks past me straight towards the back of the crawl space, his big hooves clopping along loudly. I actually helped him sort through all this stuff last year, so I think I know where it is. I follow him, but it's hard to see in the darkness. Should we get a flashlight? Okay, I'm gonna pause it right there. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been a new episode of Echo, Carl's Path. Got some great artwork for Carl, didn't we? But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, leave a super thanks if you can. It always helps. Until the next video, I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!